I'm glad that you're here. Let's talk about money. Many of us have different beliefs about money. I grew up in a household where the belief was if you want to make more money, do more work. My name is Kirk. Some call me the financial freedom guy. In the next few moments, I'm going to walk you through 3 best practices from the growth CFOs to gain financial freedom on your terms. So let's start. Let's meet Stephanie. Stephanie is a business owner like many of us. She puts everything she has into her business. She loves her clients, customers, and she's married and has both a son and a daughter. Some people would say that she has it all. When I met Stephanie, her struggles included, getting new customers, keeping customers, that kind of thing. But particularly getting new customers, the client acquisition, what used to work just wasn't working anymore. The book Who Moved My Cheese, the cheese moved somewhere. And then on top of that, her team wasn't thriving like it used to. There was just a level of tension and uncertainty, and utilization of team members for productive work was below what it has been. And she has playbooks and best practices, but at best her team members were using the best practices partially. They weren't fully engaged on that excellent, remarkable work that she was striving to. And the team members have become less reliable, right? Showing up, the callbacks to customer sites were more common than they had been in the past. And it's heartbreaking because, Stephanie put everything she has into running a good business, making sure team members are doing well. And there's this disconnect, and you can see it impacting customer acquisition and customer retention, that kind of thing. And so all of this creates financial pressure. Cost is going up, the top line isn't going up, and maybe the top line is stagnant, and those kind of financial pressure, profit margins are eroding, the cash balances could be going out. Is it household income? Is it where it needs to be? Is it less than it has been? Is it not what you want it to be? So all those things are just common problems that are painful. And on top of that, since we put so much into our business, a lot of times things aren't so great at home, right? The relationship with our husband and wives is taking a strain because we're not spending time together. You might be missing key events. Hopefully it's not birthdays, but you're missing events that you want to be part of that, quite frankly, you can't replace. And, life may feel like a treadmill. Like you get up every day and you hit it hard, and by the end of the day, you're not quite sure what you accomplished. I mean, can anybody relate to these things, right? I've been there. I've been building businesses for 30 years as Foresight for almost a decade now. And most recently, when my wife and I hit the empty nester stage, there was that void just caused the marital problems, right? And on top of that, I'm running a business. I'm focused on doing great things with clients. So I've been there. I understand the impact that business can have on relationships. When I spoke with Stephanie, she described not being sure if she made the right decision to start a business. She felt shame about, sacrificing the time that she could have been with loved ones. And she didn't see a clear path, from where she's at to where she wants to be. She was stuck. And it's common: frustration, anger, self-doubt. Self-doubt is the most common feeling that most of us feel at different periods of time. So I'm going to show you 3 growth CFO business building practices that elevated Stephanie. And flight is a great way to think about business building, which is really funny because I'm a Army background, first Gulf War kind of thing. And, but there's something about flight, right? Where it's just like beyond holding on to the ground, doing something up there is remarkable. So when I asked Stephanie to describe her destination, like where do you want to be? Where do you want to end up? It was very flat, like business owners. I want revenue of this level and employees and these locations and these products. And you imagine I'm a growth CFO and I'm talking about how, that's flat, right? There's not much motivation is going to come out of that description of a person's destination. And it wasn't there for Stephanie either. It was just very generic. And so clarity starts with, about the destination for you as a person. Like, what do you really want in your life? If you had freedom of time and money and you're healthy, what would you do? And a lot of people don't know, right? I call that the second mountain. But let's figure that out. What do you really care about? What's your purpose? Because at some point, do this well, you're going to have freedom of time. You're going to have freedom of money. And if you do things really well, you're healthy and you have relationships that you care about, right? So and then what else, right? What else would you do in that moment, in those circumstances, to give you a sense of purpose, right? All kinds of things that that you could do. So this destination starts with you. What's your vivid vision of your future self? The deeper we go into that, to where you really can feel it, like you're already there, you're looking back and you already did it, and we're starting to think about, well, how did we get here kind of stuff. The more you can really put yourself in that moment, the better. And then once we know about you, your life, what you really care about, then it starts to make a lot more sense on how we build the business, right? What's the right role for you? Because too many of us are wearing all these different hats, and it's maybe it's not painful, but it's been, for me in my life, has been painful at certain points when I had the wrong hats on, but not pleasant, difficult. That treadmill that just kind of runs out the day, but doesn't give a sense of purpose. So, but once we know about you, what's that right role for you, then we know how to build that future org chart. How do we build an organization that you can delegate to? So all that is, we're painting a picture of the destination. What does it look like? Where are you at? What products and services are you doing? Are your products and services really unique? Because if they are, you get a price premium, less work, more money, and dollar for profitability. That translates, you get that second payday, you get the valuation. On average, for every $1 of additional profit, you're getting $6, $3 to $6 of additional valuation. If you got something strategic, something really unique, that's even more valuable to a different company, then the sky is the limit, right? Instead of a 3 to 6 multiple, you're getting 10 to 11 multiple, right? And now that second payday is looking different. So the best practice is to start with the end in mind, about you, and then set objectives and set your role in the business based on that. And you don't have to have perfect clarity for any of these steps that we go through. Just, based on what you can reasonably figure out at this point in time, lay it out and write it down. If it's not written down, it doesn't exist. There's just something about having it black and white where you can see it and start to feel it, and give yourselves in that moment, like, what does it feel like? Because that's going to be your source of motivation. Okay, so let's go. That's the destination is the first best practice from the Growth CFO. Literary experience with hundreds of companies, from tech companies in the USA to Himalayan salt companies in Pakistan. This works, but you got to adapt it to you. Okay, let's go talk about the second best practice for from the Growth CFOs, financial flight plan. So now we know where you want to end up. We are going to put those financial metrics to it. Revenue, gross profit, net income. That's the three main ones. And then flight plan, where are we at? Where do you want to be? And this is what we did with Stephanie. And it doesn't matter how big or small your company is. The numbers here are just for example purposes only. Where do you want to end up? Where are you at? And create that multi-5-year financial flight plan. If there's 2 years of actuals, 2022, 24, then the next 5 years, you start seeing the glide path, and you ask the question, run scenarios. What are the main things I could do? What main options do I have that could achieve that outcome? And then we're running the what if scenarios to see what does the best, produces the best financial outcome plus life. Are you doing the business, that's the type of business you love being part of? Sometimes you can prune products and services that aren't making money, refocus energy on the parts that are making money, that are unique, that have that second payday potential, and then rock and roll on that. And this is the first cut of starting to see what that could look like, the financial flight plan. My growth CFOs at Foresight CFO are the do it with you company that can side by side create your financial flight plan based on real options you have in your business. And then we also use the same database that many banks use to examine the number story and look for, basically mine the data to look for additional gold and validate, what's practical, what can we actually do with a high degree of confidence, so that we're doing, the flight plan is safe. We're not betting the farm, but we're doing it in a way that's actually going to get the results that you're looking for. So the flight plan, instrumental, and this is actually from a database, even though it looks like a spreadsheet, but you can bend the database and run scenarios differently with a database than you can do with a spreadsheet. So the second part of the financial flight plan is household income. If I was going to start a business, the first thing I have to figure out is household income. What do I want now? What do I want tomorrow? And what do I want at my destination where I'm financially free? I got money for the expected and unexpected. That's the starting place instead of working backward into it. Valuation, what do you need? What second payday? What dollar amount? What's your number? To where you get not just you financially free, but now you have options for that multi-generational legacy development, right? What can you do 5 generations down for family members and non-family members if that's important to you, right? So this is part 2 of the things that can fall out of the financial flight plan. And this is where things started with Stephanie, really opened up on the destination and then started to see, okay, there are, if I do certain key things, or if she does certain key things, here's the outcome it can produce, and is it worth the effort, right? The third best practice is to develop your team members to use the numbers. Most people, including most business owners, including most successful business owners, aren't naturally skilled with the numbers. They look at financials and that kind of thing, and it makes them feel less smart. And I teach grad school at Georgetown University. It's the same thing. You got mid-career professionals, very successful people, but they're intimidated by coming into a financial class because they think they're going to be given like a calculus exam and made to feel uncomfortable or look silly. That's not what this is at all. The financial management is basic math, addition, subtraction, where you start seeing trends we call the number story, right? And what does it tell you? Because the numbers are always pointing to something. There's something that might not be healthy, like a cancer, that you can take care of. And there might be an opportunity, right? If you do more of this, you get more of that, right? And you can literally see it with the numbers in ways that you couldn't see it any other way. So the best practice is to develop people in a manner and pace that is really useful to them. And it's something like, the first 3 months, expect one level of responsiveness, but by month 6, people who didn't even want to look at the numbers wouldn't make decisions without the numbers. Imagine, like we're talking about this flight plan analogy. Imagine you're getting ready for your next flight. Maybe some of you guys are on your personal jets. I'm not. I still fly commercial. I probably will for quite some time. And imagine that you glance at the cockpit and there's no instruments on there, no dials, no numbers, no, the flight plan, the wings, the left and right, nothing, right? Just 2 people smiling at you, looking back at you. Not even a fuel gauge. How do you know how much fuel is in there if you don't have a fuel gauge? I would be concerned. I would get off that flight, right? And a little bit concerning. So developing your team members who use the numbers will pay a huge ROI. And let me show you what I mean. Let's dig a little bit deeper to show you some habits that will really help your team members. The first one is choosing the right options. And this is, we create a 12-month, month-by-month flight plan budget, right? We say flight plan because flight plan budget sounds way more interesting than budget, right? So, and you're doing the what if, right? You run out your expectations about how you get revenue, what activities produce revenue, what activities produce costs, and you can run, given your different options, you can run, well, what if I do this? What if I do that, right? And you really can figure out the right options at the right time, and you literally create with the budget a flight plan that you can measure yourself against. It could be weekly, but definitely no less than monthly, okay? So that's the key thing, including, again, back to household income. I bring that up because too many business owners, they get to, some sacrifice household income. They're putting it all back into business, and that day rarely changes on its own, right? Others get to a point where household income is okay, the pain is stopped, but it's not great. It's not proportional to the amount of effort you're putting into the business. It's not proportional to your reason for going to business, that household income. But what would, right? Which I go back to, what would give you financial freedom both today and tomorrow? So let's be real. Sometimes it's a taboo topic, but not for us. And when we were talking with Stephanie, that was the case, right? She wanted it turned out, after a little bit of discussion, that she wanted to double her household income So let's figure out how to double your household income, right? And it took a minute. It's not necessarily black and white easy, but a little bit of what if, a few cycles into it, you actually get to a very practical set of options and the ability to follow through. So the excuse me, the next habit to teach your team members, and this applied to Stephanie's team. Most of the time we don't want to look at their financials because if they're new to folks, the financials just make us, it's hieroglyphics, right? We're not sure what's what. The best practice is to create a daily dashboard at a minimum, a weekly dashboard. Theoretically, with a daily dashboard, you have 365 data points, your team members, 365 opportunities to make small adjustments based on what they control to finish the flight based on what you're looking for. And I'm going to get some water. Okay, so daily dashboard, you just have more opportunities to inform each team member to make small adjustments based on what they control to stay on the flight plan to get the outcomes that you're looking for. It's phenomenal. At minimum, we'll have a weekly kind of KPI dashboard where people are doing the same thing, minimal weekly. Okay, then in addition to that, the monthly financials serve as a kind of a formal measuring point. Where do you stand? Right, actuals compared to your budget. There's a number story. Am I over or under? It's very important never to have judgment if somebody's over or under, because the minute there's judgment, if it's unfavorable judgment, the whole team is going to become apprehensive about looking at the numbers and stepping up and seeing things clearly. But if it's open, if I'm over or under, I'm over or under. Now we can see it. And your team, your manager learn to speak to, I'm over, and here's the reason why, and here's my proposed action. And you can almost feel the weight. Stephanie could just feel the weight coming off her shoulders, where it wasn't just her responsible. Each team member, each manager, P&L manager had, took ownership of the responsibility. Never judgmental. If we're off, we're off. But let's see it and take action. And then also you can start setting up 80-20. What projects, contracts, customers are making money. It's always 80-20. Usually there's 20% of your customers or activities producing disproportional 80-some-odd% of the results, right? The whole point is disproportional. Smaller input gets disproportional outcomes. When you look at financials and the daily dashboard, you can start to do that. You can start to really see with the numbers what's producing and what's not producing. And so by month 3, Stephanie's team was getting into it, right? They had, in their case, they had a weekly dashboard. And don't let perfection slow you down. If it's one number on a chalkboard somewhere, start there. And then they'll go to 2 numbers, 3 numbers. It's better to start today with whatever you have available. And then, just keep building. Use that natural, every cycle, that natural cadence to evolve. Make it easy. So Stephanie's team was, by month 3, they were getting it. By month 6, they got it. And they were making so much better decisions, and they had ideas about, they brought forth the ideas that they would implement in their respective areas to get the outcomes that everybody needed. When the business owner is doing well, everybody's doing well. Okay, so monitoring your flight plan progress is that second habit. Dashboard, financials. Okay, the third thing is you got to make sure there's enough fuel in the tank, and that's cash. And that literally, it's fuel that keeps you in flight longer versus shorter. Never heard of a business going out of business because of low profitability or the lack of profitability. But if they run out of cash, I've definitely seen businesses come to a sudden stop in that case. The practice that we talked about, the financial flight plan, the budget, at least you'll have a longer view on seeing, what generates cash versus what doesn't. So those practices plus this one, measuring the cash conversion cycle, which is simply how many days does it take me for the bill and collect my clients? How many days does it take my inventory to come and go? And then you got vendor payments and payroll. All that makes up your cash conversion cycle, which do you have positive cash or negative cash? And obviously you want positive cash. Not only does positive cash, when you accelerate the velocity of cash in your business, you have more cash for payroll. You may have thought you needed a bank line of credit, but you don't need a bank line of credit anymore. And in Stephanie's case, just by doing there were collections And by getting inventory to that, like the average benchmarks in her industry, we're able to free up $470,000 of working capital, per month. And that covers payroll, right? And so all of a sudden, there's no pressure there. There's a surplus of cash. So, and you get the second payday. The more positive the cash is in your business, that cash cycle, it also reflects, it increases the value of your business, because both financial buyers and strategic buyers want a business that has positive cash, and a high velocity cash business is going to do better than one that lags. So developing team members to use the numbers is the third best practices, and those are the three key things to do that. So let's bring, that the growth CFO business building practices. What do? They provide clarity, right? Destination, multi-year financial flight plan. Then the three things your team members are doing, everyone's getting clearer. Where before they were going based on their instinct or their view of the business, what they could see, trucks coming in and out, whatever it is. And then with the clarity, confidence, we evaluated option A, B, and C. This is the one that, for all indicators, look best for us. And then we have the confidence we can follow through using the flight plan to measure are we over or under, and taking proactive steps at least weekly, right, to stay on the flight plan. And in addition, Stephanie was able to increasingly focus. She stopped doing parts of her business, products and services that weren't productive. Literally just like a tree, prune them, right? So that you get more energy for the branches that will grow. Likewise, there's some customers, if you have any number of customers, there start to be segments. Like, these customers here, you love them and they love you. They keep coming back. It's a good experience. What you do is wonderful for them. Versus the ones, the bottom 20%, nothing you do is going to ever satisfy them, right? So don't keep it going, right? Maybe refer them to your competition. Maybe it works out there. Either way, draining money, draining energy, not going to be good for you. And then with the ones in the middle, can you engage them to do even more with them? Or do you focus more on that 20% and get more customer clients like that, where you can do your best work, where you love going to work, your team members love it, and forget about the rest, right? Focus on what we're going to optimize. And so really liberating. Stephanie found that as this level of clarity and her team members were taking more responsibility, she was able to delegate with confidence, because she can see beyond her line of sight. Plus, her team members could see where to take action, and that gave her more time for the relationships in her life. In her case, her husband, her son and daughter, right? She's making the money she needed to, actually doubled her household income, and started to cut back probably about a third of her hours, right? Where she was able to show up and did feel good about doing both things in her life. Plus, she has a business that's transferable. It's not dependent on her anymore. And, she has that second payday. She just identified strategic buyers that might be worth approaching at some point when she's ready to, step back either partially or full-time from the business. Well, she's going to have those kinds of options. So just a real transformation, brighter today, brighter future. And so I'm curious, not just going to superficial, saying, oh yeah, we budget, or I heard about budgeting, don't like it, but going deeper than that to really, there's levels of destination setting beyond traditional business growth. So out of the things we talked about, what item gives you that positive, predictable pathway that might be good for you? I'm going to challenge you to write that down, then figure out 2 or 3 options on how to actually do that, right? Because at that point, once you do that, you have an option. You have an option to make your life better, to avoid some of the common problems and maybe some of the not so common problems. So the 3 best practices are part of the Growth CFO Financial Freedom System. We actually talked about the habits, right, that are kind of the backbone of financial management to enable good decision making across each function of the business and that strategic destination of the business. My book describes this. If you haven't grabbed a copy, I encourage you to grab one and leave me a review, right, to get the word out there that there's a better way, that there's a missing team member on most CEOs' teams. And it works. Meet Christina and Blake. The growth CFO practices come out of decades of experience, hundreds of companies, very different situations. With any framework or method, you got to adapt it to your specific situation and what you care about. That's what the framework is designed to do, right? To meet you based on you and your team members, based on where you're at. So my company, Foresight CFO, is my do it with you arm. If you want to discuss your financial flight plan or how to reach a certain destination and in a way that maybe my growth CFO 3-person teams can help you, the best way to get a hold of me is to go to my website, and there's a counter link. If you hit the counter link, you can schedule time for us to hop on a call together and talk about your vision, your destination, what might be slowing you down. The second way, just send me an email, right? And I'll get Lena to get us on a call together. Business owner to business owner, talk about where you're at and where you want to go and what might be slowing you down. Promises to be a great conversation. So with that, thank you for your time and attention. I look forward to talking to you in person or at the next event. Not to mention Zoom is always available. So let's talk. See you soon.